Right, we don't want to have to send anybody to the front office. Good morning, everyone. Good morning. Isn't this exciting? I don't know about you, but I just feel the energy in the room, which is great. So, I'm Tim, and before I turn it over to our MC, Dr. Brown, first of all, I'd like to just say welcome. And thank you for being here. Thank you for being here on a Saturday morning. You know, these events don't happen without the help of a lot of people. So I'd like to acknowledge a few folks. First of all, I'd like to acknowledge Dr. Brown, who helped to organize this. So if you'll give them a nice big hand. Tom and Bree, who also worked on this effort. So give a nice big hand to them. You know, I'm not sure that he did the graphic designs, but you know what? He pretty much did. But anyways, let's just thank him anyways. Josh, slow down.
We did this one, Tim.
Josh, that's all the other designs you've done for the city, right? And also want to just thank Margaret for the dog who's hosting us today. And so Margaret, wherever you're at, I know you're somewhere in this building. Just give her a nice big hand. So, just before we start, I have to tell you, on one level, I'm so excited. I'm here to really listen, to learn, and to figure out how we work together to better understand this idea of placemaking. I don't know all that it is, although sometimes I talk about it like I do, and so I'm really interested to know is that really placemaking? But earlier this week, there's two things that happened that really struck me about what's going on in the city of Pomona. And one of them is a group that formed a little over a year ago, in fact almost a year ago Tuesday. And they're called We Run Pomona. And there were over 140 runners on Tuesday. And they've been doing this work all year, running on Tuesdays throughout the city. And it's growing. And they're going into neighborhoods where people thought you couldn't go at night. And when we did that run on Tuesday, there were literally people coming out of their homes and cheering the runners. And I got to tell you that these runners, many of them, if not all of them, are from Pomona. They went off to college, they graduated, they're back, and now they're giving back. And it was just a tremendous joy to be able to see that. And so I don't know if that's placemaking, but it sure felt like placemaking. And then on Wednesday, through the effort of a woman who had made it known that she wanted her trash picked up and not strewn all over the alleyway, we came together on Wednesday in one of the most challenged neighborhoods, Angela Chancellor. And we leafleted the neighborhood on Monday, and we invited the community out, and we had over 50 plus people who were cleaning alleyways, gutters, sidewalks, carports. It was an amazing display of community. And the children, grandparents, moms, dads, and when they came away from it, they said, you know what? This is our neighborhood. We have to take ownership of this neighborhood. We're all renters, but it doesn't mean this isn't our neighborhood. And so they decided that every month, once a month, they're going to clean up their neighborhood. And they're hoping that over time it just becomes a part of the culture and that everybody is looking out for the neighbor, and they're looking out for the streets and the alleyways. And so anyways, I was incredibly excited about that. And so I'm really looking forward to what's to come today. I look forward to learning from all of you. And again, on behalf of the group that helped to organize this, just thank you for all being here. And this is, I think years from now, we'll go back and say this was a really historic day in the city of Pomona. And like all of you, I remain incredibly hopeful and optimistic for the future of our city. So thank you. So I turn it over to Dr. Kyle Brown.
Good morning, everybody. Good morning. Yeah, my name is Kyle Brown. I'm a resident here in Pomona. Been a resident since 2004. and serve on the Planning Commission here in Pomona. But I'm also a faculty member in the College of Environmental Design at Cal Poly Pomona University, and I'm affiliated with the Lyle Center for Regenerative Studies, one of the groups that's sort of leading this effort to put on this workshop. So I'm really glad to be here. I do want to take a moment to recognize the other folks that are identified at the top of the screen because they've been very helpful. Tim mentioned some folks already, but some organizations have been really helpful in making this possible. Really appreciate the support of Day One, and I think there was Day One also. We'll be hearing from Day One a little bit later. Also, Pomona Hope. I think Tom and Bree and other folks from Pomona Hope are here. Go ahead and raise your hands. Thank you. And Clean and Green Pomona, which I'm a part of, and I know we've got some other Clean and Green Pomona here. And then One Pomona, the group that worked on Mayor Sandoval's campaign. I know that we've got some here. And then last but certainly not least, our host for the day with Doss Center for the Arts, and Margaret, and once again thank her for those efforts. So really the charge for the folks that were identified as organizers of this was really to work in their networks to bring out people to this event. And I have to say that's proven to be easier than I could have imagined. The level of enthusiasm for placemaking, even though a lot of people say, I have no idea what that is, but it sounds interesting, I'm going to come, has been really exciting. And so we really appreciate you all coming out today. This shows sort of an agenda of what we're looking at here. I'm going to start out by talking a little bit about what is placemaking, give you some information about that. And then we're fortunate enough to hear from a couple of folks who have firsthand experience in placemaking, and we'll introduce them, and they're going to share some of the work of them and that they have done, their organizations have done. And then after the break, what we're going to be doing is dividing up into neighborhood groups. So we asked you all to, when you checked in, to put a dot on the map representing sort of the area or the neighborhood you're most interested in working on placemaking. And we really feel that, as we'll talk about, local people are really the experts in placemaking, and so we really want you to be involved in a very personal way with the places that you're going to be working on today. And so we actually plan to make this a working session. You're not just going to be sitting here listening to us talk, and it should be a lot of fun. We'll have an opportunity to share back and talk about next steps. Can everybody hear me okay? So, in terms of the work that I do through the Lyle Center, we've been really interested in looking at this idea of regenerating communities. And one of the things we asked in this placemaking workshop was, what if we regenerated Pomona around places? And so when we talk about regenerating communities, we're really talking about creating a mindset where there's a number of qualities that the community has. The first is that there's a really strong sense of belonging in the community. That residents in the community feel like others besides their family care about them and care about their well-being. There is a strong sense of well-being. There's a feeling that the community is supportive of a healthy lifestyle and of being healthy. There's a strong sense of self-worth, where the community really recognizes that they are worthy of having nice things, worthy of having quality schools, quality parks, all of those kinds of things. And that there's a sense of possibility, that residents really believe that they or their children are really capable of achieving anything that they're interested in achieving. And all of these kinds of qualities build up to a real sense of momentum within a regenerative community, a community that really feels like it's going somewhere positive. And this is something that we've been interested in, and I know many other community groups have been interested in these same kind of qualities. What are the ways in which we create this kind of atmosphere within a community like Pomona? And so really, when we talk about regeneration, we're saying regeneration is about building community among people. And many researchers agree that physical places play a key role in building this kind of community. And much of the work that I'm going to be talking about today and others are going to be talking about today comes from an organization called the Project for Public Spaces. And you can look them up on the web, and they have a wealth of resources about how to do placemaking. And we've certainly borrowed a lot of ideas from them today in this workshop. One of the things that they talk about as being essential is that all cities need destinations. And destinations give an identity and an image to a community, which does things like help attract new residents, businesses, investments, all of the things we need to function as a society. But more importantly, destinations bring residents together to support building community and fostering a sense of belonging. And when we talk about destinations, these could be things like districts, neighborhoods, or important landmarks. Culture often plays a key role in this in terms of creating a cultural destination. Historic preservation often plays a key role in this. Public space like parks and other kinds of things often play a key role in creating this identity of these destinations within your community. So that's sort of the first ingredient that they talk about as being really important. All destinations, they say, need places. And what makes each destination successful is that it actually has multiple places to gather within it. So it's not about just one place. It's actually got a network of places within it. And places, very simply, are recognized locations for socializing, relaxing, resting, playing, participating in community life. And places are where people feel like they belong, feel like they have a strong stake in their communities, and a commitment to make things better. And so when we talk about places, and there's just some kind of illustrations of different places around the world there at the bottom, they may be commercial establishments like cafes or other kinds of businesses. They may be public spaces like parks or plazas. They may be private property where community gathering is encouraged. And so you see examples on the bottom. I think on the lower left is the High Line, which is an old railroad bed in New York City that was transformed into a public park. You see people taking over parking areas in certain areas to create temporary kinds of gathering spaces or parks. You see lots of different kinds of opportunities for gathering and coming together. So we have destinations, and then within those destinations we have a series of places. And all of these places ultimately need activities or things to do. Okay? And so what makes each place successful is that there are often multiple things to do. Recognizing that we don't all like to do the same thing. We can't all do all we want to do at all times of the day, all times of the year, etc. And so we really make them dynamic in terms of having multiple kinds of activities. And they appeal to a range of ages, to a range of interests. They may be permanent or they may be temporary, so events can definitely fall into that kind of activity. And they may include things like coffee drinking, music, classes, gardening, skateboarding, whatever it is that you and your community feel really interested in participating in as a group. So activities are really essential to giving livelihood to those kinds of spaces or places. So there's actually been a lot of research done about what makes a great place and what are successful places. This is something that people who study this know sort of the recipe or the ingredients that are essential. They need to be accessible and well connected to other places. They need to be comfortable and project a positive community image so people feel safe and like they want to be there. They need to attract people to participate in activities. People go to do things, so you need to have that kind of programming. And it is a welcoming environment that people feel like they want to visit again, they feel proud of, they want to show their family when their family visits from out of town, they want to return and participate in this. And so one of the things that the Project for Public Spaces has done is they've taken those 4 qualities, they call it sociability, uses and activities, access and linkages, and comfort and image, and they've identified various characteristics that describe those. And they include, for example, in comfort and image, some of the qualities they describe are safe, clean, green, walkable, sittable. In sociability, they include things like friendly, interactive, welcoming. In uses and activities, they include celebratory, useful, special. And in access and linkages, they use things like proximity, walkable, connecting, these types of characteristics. And so we can actually evaluate places that exist in our community today and think about how well they do these things. Are there changes, sometimes very simple changes that could be made to make them more sociable, make them more useful, make them more connected or more comfortable? And that can also give us some guidance when we think about how to plan new spaces as well. So some of the key questions that we encourage you to ask when you're thinking about this, with regards to access and linkages, are, for example, can you see the place from a distance? Is it highly visible? People know that it's there. Can people easily walk there? Being able to walk and walkability is really central to this idea of building neighborhood and community. And so having that walkability becomes really important. But people need to arrive by other means as well. So can they easily use things like bus, train, car, or bicycle to get there as well, particularly if they're coming from some kind of distance. So we can ask these kind of questions when we're looking at creating a place or evaluating a place that we have today. With regards to comfort and image, some of the key questions are, does this place make a good first impression? Are you really excited when you arrive, and does it really feel like someplace special? Are there enough convenient places to sit? Do people have a choice of places to sit? Being in the sun and being in the shade can be very important in a place like Southern California, and so making sure you've got access to those kinds of comforts. Are spaces clean and free of litter? It's certainly an important consideration. Do people feel safe there? Do their family feel safe spending time in that area? And some of those indications about whether people are enjoying themselves, particularly in this cell phone generation, is, are they taking pictures? Are people, you see evidence of people really enjoying themselves in that way? In terms of uses and activities, some of the key questions to ask are how many different types of activities are occurring? Do you have people walking? Do you have people eating, playing sports, cards, relaxing, reading, whatever it is that they're interested in? And do they have choices? Or is it programmed for only one kind of activity? Or are there choices of things to use? What are the age range of the people that are using the space? Is it going to be appealing to groups of different ages? How well used is it going to be throughout the day or on weekends? We know some neighborhoods come alive after work. Other neighborhoods are alive during the business day. Others on weekends. And so thinking about those time frames becomes important. And, again, the idea of sociability is people in groups. Are people isolated and just using the space individually, or are they engaged in conversations in groups of 2, 3, 4, however many might be there. And then there's the key questions around the sociability. Is this a place where you would choose to meet your friends? Is an important question to ask in terms of how this place is going. Do people, when you go there, do people seem to know each other, at least recognize faces or know each other by name? Is this a place where people bring friends or relatives, visitors from out of town because they're particularly proud of it and would like you to see this space or spend time in there? Is there a mix of age and ethnic groups that reflects the community at large? And do people exhibit some kind of stewardship or care for the space? Do they tend to pick up litter when they see it, or other kinds of activities? I know Mayor Sandoval always picks up litter when he sees it. So those are some key kinds of questions to ask. So again, by asking these questions, and you'll have access to these questions when you get into the group, but this allows us to evaluate whether the places we have now are really performing as best they can, or whether there's some simple changes that could be made to really enhance them. And then this is also useful in thinking about what new places and activities might begin to emerge within a destination or a neighborhood. Now, one of the things that often comes up right away in this kind of placemaking is this idea that people think these kind of community improvements are going to be expensive and money is going to prevent us from doing this. The community doesn't have any money. How are we going to be able to do something like this? Well, other communities have responded using what the Project for Public Spaces describes as lighter, cheaper, quicker placemaking. And the idea is to think that expensive or really labor-intensive kinds of initiatives are often not the most effective ways to bring energy and life into a community places. We don't need to redesign a park necessarily to have it enhanced as a place. We really encourage thinking about what is possible for community members themselves to take on as enhancements within these kinds of places. So lighter, quicker, cheaper is a phrase that the Project for Public Spaces uses to describe simple, often short-term and low-cost solutions that can have an impact on the shaping of neighborhoods and cities. So they might be something that happens before a more elaborate or more expensive improvement takes place. They might be something that builds momentum. It's about building community and momentum in the short term. And these can include things like either seasonal events or what they describe as one-off or one-time events. Having the ice cream social once, whether you know that you plan to have that again or not, can certainly fall into that kind of category. Community-driven ideas that are adopted from leaders of the community. It is really about community members being leaders in this case, not relying on elected officials or public officials to lead in the creation of these places, but really community members stepping up and taking that responsibility and that initiative. And looking for really innovative partnerships. So local businesses that might be convinced to help shape a place within the community that might benefit their business as well as benefit the community. These kind of partnerships are the types of things that are looked for in this lighter, cheaper, quicker kind of approach. And it really does hinge on this idea of community members really getting involved to improve their community. And that's what makes it so exciting to see so many of you here today. There seems to be some real energy about this kind of improvement. And so that's a key ingredient to really looking at these lighter, cheaper, quicker kinds of solutions. So with that, I'm going to take an opportunity to introduce Josh Schwartz, because we're going to hear now from a couple of people who've been involved in placemaking and share some of their experiences and give you some examples of things that have been done so you can begin to think about what might be possible in your neighborhood. So the Cultural Arts Commissioner, Josh Schwolnick, I'm going to introduce you to introduce our first speaker.
Anyways, I'm Josh Schwolnick. I live 2 blocks down the street. I'm here in downtown. And my wife, Chara, in the back. We've been in the area for 14 years, something like that in Pomona. And seen a lot of good changes. But today is not about me, so our next speaker is a man named Lucas Rivera. Lucas Rivera. Yeah. So I'm a big fan of Lucas. Lucas has been working with the Grand Park LA with the Music Center, bringing music, arts, community to Grand Park LA. How many of you have been to Grand Park LA? So the pink chairs, the fact that you can move them around. We actually did a whole Mother's Day picnic one day, my wife and I, for her mom, and moved a bunch of the chairs and had a whole day there, invited family and friends, and just this really great place. And so he's the one of the guys who basically made that happen. And then you can Google him later, but Philadelphia, real projects, and music, and he's a father DJ and an old school b-boy. So I can get some more respect from you for that. Just you can Google it. So, Mr. Mayor, you can Google it. Yeah. B-boy, hip hop b-boy. Yeah. Anyways, ladies and gentlemen, Lucas.
Everybody's really out there. I feel like I'm about to do a rap or something. Everybody give me a beat. Can you all stand up? Let's move. Let's move. I like to start my presentation with engaging our audiences. So what I want to do is, on this side, you're going to clap, and you're going to clap on this beat. All right, ready? One, this side. So you guys hold tight, please. No hagas nada. Don't do nothing. This side. Come here this way. Ready? 1, 2, 3, clap. 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 You can clap your hand too.
This is Fred Van Allen, First Team Real Estate Christie's at the placemaking event at the Dawes Center for the Arts in the Art Colony in Pomona. I'm checking out now. I hope you enjoyed this presentation.